Special good morning to our listeners. Special good morning to our viewers. Welcome. It's To The Point. Today being Wednesday, it's the 26th day of November 2025. It's the day of the week here on To The Point. Now, we do have various departments within government representing this morning. We have Honorable Redhead with us this morning. Sir, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, GT.
It's like a double dose of the month, right?
Yeah, man.
And of course, I was expecting someone else to pop in this
so I have
morning.
to fill in for him.
And of course, you had to pop in at the last minute. Yeah. It's good when you have that particular way about it that you can fit in for other individuals.
Yes,
so it's nice to have
you.
How is everything going?
Well, so far so well. Good morning to you, GBN family, and all listeners both home and abroad tuning in.
All right. So we're fast approaching budget 2025 for the 2026 budget to come. But it's 2025 and 2026 budget, something of that nature you're saying. So it's actually 2026 budget, but actually done in 2025. Seem to be having a little bit earlier this year comparison to last year. Well, we understand the reason why it was that way last year. We had Hurricane Beryl and everything that sort of turned things in a different way or direction per se. Right. So we have it this year. We'll get into a conversation in relation to that shortly. You know, I want to start off the conversation this morning in terms of the economic development of this island. As it stands now with the National Democratic Congress being at the helm of government and so forth, we hear of the dwindling numbers in terms of unemployment and so forth. And we have numerous things happening. You'll say, sir, as a member of the government and so forth, how do you feel about the whole economic development per se of Grenada as it stands right now? Right. Are we in a good place? Yes. Are there still room for improvement? Talk to me in relation to that. Right. I just want to get the whole thing off the bat this morning.
Sure, no problem. Well, definitely, we are extremely proud of the gains and successes that have been made from an economic standpoint in Grenada. We have unemployment now down to 7.5%. In fact, this is the first time in my history, my lifetime, I have heard unemployment so low. Again, this speaks well to the prudent management by the Ministry of Finance and the government of Grenada by and large. But as you rightfully said, there is always room for improvement with everything that we are doing, and so we are cognizant of that. The question of cost of living, the Prime Minister raised the issue of the question of energy at our last rally Sunday. The expectation is that we need to do more, and we have been planning to be able to do more. We are pursuing long-term goals, and in addition to that, some short-term to medium-term policy decisions that we believe can help to drive further costs down. Taking it from the perspective that these are not things that are directly caused by our economic situation, but it's external factors that is contributing to high prices normally when we import. And so we have these effects of the inflationary pressures externally that we and our consumers have to bear the burden and the brunt of. While we are not happy about it, we want to reassure Grenadians that we continue to look at it. The Prime Minister announced at Sunday's rally the project, which is a geothermal project to be able to generate electricity. That is going to be transformative to the energy sector, and it has serious implications for the manufacturing sector to come. At least within 10 years, we should be well on our way of seeing a total reduction in energy cost once things goes well, right? All things being equal. The other thing we are very proud of is the night landing at Carriacou. This is going to be a game changer for the economy of Carriacou, and it is also going to assist Grenada in bolstering our own economic activities nationally, because Carriacou now is going to have night landing where its economic activities can go up to a much larger, expanded version than what they continue to enjoy. In that being said, there is going to be private sector investment now that is going to be lured towards Carriacou as a result of the night landing. You can see more hoteliers may express and start expressing interest to go to Carriacou. More business, private sector business, to which they believe they can, lead off their business and do things, because you have a change in the economic dynamics in Carriacou. So this augurs well, and hopefully that will be able to spill over to Petite Martinique and be able to bring some essential services, ATM, that sort of thing, to the island of Petite Martinique when we roll out night landing in Carriacou. And so we are really looking forward very positively to a very positive and successful 2026. Lots of plans have been in place. I'm sorry I don't have the theme of the budget at this time to be able to share it with the public, but it should be made available in the coming days and very soon. Budget will be held on the 1st of December, and we look forward to great pronouncements. We look forward to Grenadians understanding where the government intends to take our people and how we're going to get there. Again, mindful that everything is not perfect, and we have to work towards it on a daily basis to be able to eliminate poverty, to be able to reduce unemployment, to be able to fix the economic situation in the country. And it's a work in progress, bit by bit, brick by brick, we're working to build it.
I want to piggyback a wee bit on the unemployment statistics that was shown out, and in terms of the percentage. Mm-hmm. Talk to me, sir. There was that announcement of the unemployment rate.
Yeah.
I want to know how the view of course this particular achievement. So how do you view it in terms of that rate from your advantage point?
No, it's good, and it augurs well. It says to us that all of the people who are actively looking for work is beginning to find work. And I think it speaks primarily to creating the enabling environment from the government standpoint, where both government and private sector in particular is driving this reduction in unemployment. So it's not necessarily that the government is just creating things and employing people, because that is unsustainable. Then we have the whole concept of the pension and all these other things to factor in. So that's not the issue. I think what it speaks to is the economic environment where private sector can invest a little more. And we see this, take for example down Grand Anse, notwithstanding you're having the road construction project with Nawasa, UK SIF project, there is still ongoing a number of hotel chains, smaller Airbnb, doing their upgrades, private sector-led construction taking place. A lot of that is ongoing. And it speaks to the question of upgrading the infrastructure. So because you have this water project coming where we reduce this dry season woes, people now have greater confidence to invest in their business because they believe they can get greater returns. That's from private sector standpoint. So all of this kinds of works in tandem and works well in terms of the economy and the economic development of the country. The unemployment situation, as I said, there are some people who are not actively looking for work, and therefore they make up what is considered the real unemployment rate, right? Meaning that while the unemployment rate speaks to people actively looking and specifies the word actively looking for a job and either finding or can't find, but those who have given up and is just sitting, they may be employable, but they are not enthused to go out and look for work. That is something that we need to resolve. And how the government have been handling that is to get some people excited about doing something for themselves. So some of the young men, give them a weed eater. We can't sit on the block all day and expect to advance, to have jobs.
They don't want to use a weed eater.
Well, that's the thing. So it's an important question I think we must have. But the point is, at least what we want to do is to be able to start nudging people in that direction. I come from a view where I believe sometimes you have to save people from themselves, right? And if you're in a position where you have some data, you have some information, and you could advise people correctly, do that, so that ultimately they may not agree with you 100% in the start, but ultimately I think it's going to be better for them. So that's something that we are doing. The other thing is that we are looking at the reduction in the term CC dropout rates, for example, right? The free tuition is having a very positive effect on that. So again, there's a correlation between ensuring that people now have access to schools and further education and access to remaining in schools, so that they comfort the environment to continue learning and advancing, whether it's skills or just straight academic education. The opportunity is there and is being created. So we're looking at that as well. Remember, every year, the situation we met was that every year, at least 2,000 young people were leaving schools. That is no longer happening now, because you have almost an automatic diversion into term CC and further education. The increase in scholarships, again, is playing a very positive role on that. And so one of the things we need to do is support a lot of grassroots training programs where people can improve their skills. Some people are working at different shops, etc. They want to go beyond that, and so what they need is the training. The cost of the training, of course, is naturally an inhibitor, but if we can assist, we may not be able to help every single person at the same time, but if we can assist in that regard, we believe also that it is working in a positive direction. But there's also the group of people who might have been sitting at home for a long time, retired in some instances, and maybe want to do something. They have access to land. They want to start a small business. This is why CES was created in the first instance, to do that. The government has tremendous amount of data. There's about 6,000 applications sitting at the Ministry of Economic Development and CES. And therefore, if we are to come up with a very progressive agenda, being able to get these potential businesses off the ground is an area that we are looking to start. And so we are saying this to say that we have some data. We are planning out the economy in a way that it has not been done before, and we are confident that if we continue on that trend, we are going to help reduce unemployment further. We want to see as low as possible unemployment. We want our people to be working. We want people to be proud of their job. We want job security, and we want pensions to be guaranteed, not just to public servants, but to all workers in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Mac.
I heard you speak of a lot of the steps and plans of government, but sometimes we look for specifics in terms of those specifics, steps that government will be taking, to keep the reducing, I should say, unemployment. What are some of those real specific steps that government is planning to do?
I don't have a tie to flip over my neck. As you know, I had to represent Honorable Lennox Andrews,
my question
I will be guided. Yes,
for the individual who's going to take care of that this morning. He's not here, so you have
he's
to
not here. So I'll have to. Yeah, I'll try. So essentially, that's probably the difficult part of governing, is that it's not a one-size-fits-all. And in some instances, I remember same Honorable Lennox Andrews teaching me economics in SG when I was pursuing my bachelor's. And, we would read different things in the books, and the books say that we have to do X, Y, and Z. But he always sought to break it down in layman's terms. Because I could tell you this, normally, and you could look at the pandemic, you could look at the global situation. Normally, X must happen for Y to prevail.
Yes.
All right? No, and I'll try to be as simple as possible. And that's how the theory of economics teaches us. If X doesn't happen, Y shouldn't happen. But we are seeing almost a complete opposite now from an global economic standpoint. With all the uncertainties, with all the factors that for the first time, the world in its present generation did not experience. Take, for example, the COVID-19 pandemic, and having to respond to it. And so, by and large, while you may say get your GDP up and get the ratio down and all these other things, but you notice we've been using the services sector, the tourism and so on, to drive economic growth, but it is not durable, and it's too susceptible to external factors. And so when we talk about the planning and what we need to do, what we are factoring in to a large extent is the different, I would say, experiences, models. This is why the government could have been able to deal with the hurricane situation post-Hurricane Beryl, right? Because planning. You heard the Prime Minister extensively speaking on when we came in, there was this risk insurance and XYZ. Luckily, we had to impede it. And Glen, Nawasa could have been able to get the resources to build back their infrastructure. So we didn't have this lull that we had after Hurricane Ivan, where it took us almost 4 months to really get back electricity and that sort of thing. It's learning from those experiences, being able to have contingency plans and funds. And it didn't just happen. Of course, the previous administration, they did their part to restructure. That is always important because government is a continuum, and what we are doing, as we have always said, is those elements that are working for Grenada, we keep. Those that are not working, we will get rid of or enhance or change. And so we are working on that basis. Again, unemployment, poverty, these things historically have been around for a long time. So it is not to say that the NDC administration coming in 3 years could be able to just change everything. We don't have a magic wand, and the world doesn't operate like that. And so what we've been doing in some instances, we have to get data. We have to understand the nature of a situation before we can prescribe a government policy and a whole of government, not just the Ministry of Infrastructure or the Ministry of Legal Affairs, but everybody working together to collaborate. So that's the strategy and plan we've been utilizing to be able to get things moving again.
Tell me this, some people will say that although unemployment is low, and it does not really, it does not really translate to that into that real spending power per se.
Right.
Because the cost of living is still high. It's still high to a percentage. How do you respond to these particular concerns of individuals who are speaking in terms of that? Yes, because unemployment is low, but which means that people working, folks should still have that spending power because people are working per se. But people are not feeling it. How do you respond to people who are thinking in that way?
It's always sometimes very difficult for macroeconomic policies to specify micro situations, meaning the individual and spending patterns and so on. It's very difficult to actually predict that. But what I would say in response to it is that yes, it may not naturally result in an increase or improvement in spending per se, but I think what we have to do is look at the indicators, right? Once more people continue to get jobs, irrespective of the high cost of living that the world is experiencing, and particularly the Caribbean region, the ability for someone to consume is there.
Yeah.
The question is the quantity, the quantum, the amount. How much can they consume? Is it that because I have to put $50 more now in my electricity bill, I have to consume less food? And then now one would ask the question, progressively thinking, what can I do to increase my ability to get food so that I could reduce my income's the spending ability and be able to pay my bills, and what I need to do to reduce my electricity cost as well on my end, taking into consideration that it's fluctuating, it's unpredictable in some cases, but what am I doing? Do I have an AC running? Right? Should I reduce that, use a fan, knock out a new window hole so that I can get more natural air and light and so on in the house? So there are different mechanisms or methods. So you don't have to sit and rely, because what I always try to tell people is that the government is never going to create the perfect environment for the individual, because the government ultimately has to look at the macro situation, right? The numbers in tourism, the numbers. So you can't individually look at one hotel chain. It has to look at the bigger picture. And so you, the individual, in your contribution to your economic situation, you need to now say, well, if the government is passing the policy to say that we are reducing the electricity for XYZ consumers by 10%, how can I fall in that category if I'm not falling there so that I can benefit from this rebate? What are the things that I need to do to be able to get myself up to a higher salary scale? The government has increased or improved the minimum wage situation. What is it that I am not doing to be able to fall in that new bracket or category where I could see an increase in my disposable income? So things like that, the individual has to look at. And that's from an economic standpoint. But the government would not be able to specifically drill that down to individual. It has to look at the entire picture. It has to look at a more broader macro perspective.
All right, great. So that's pretty well understand where you're coming from with that. I want to focus on this a wee bit. Folks are talking are still on the cost of living per se.
Yes.
And folks you hear a conversation from time to time. What are some of government's plans? Mm-hmm. You spoke about some briefly, just briefly earlier, but folks are saying with the high cost of living, and so we understand it's not affecting Grenada only.
Yes,
it's across the world. Mm-hmm. What are some of the plans of government to cushion those effects? Mm-hmm. From you go to the groceries, on a weekly basis. If you do, the price fluctuations on you from time to time. Mm-hmm. You go to purchase your gas, and it's up this week, and it's up not this week, but it's up this month, and it goes next month, and so forth. Mm-hmm. You look at the cost of electricity now. From time to time, some folks are having almost 100% increase for them, if they could say it in that particular way. What are some of the plans of government to cushion these effects? Right. I know there's not, government can't do all of it. Yes. Sometimes you as individuals have to make those decisions yourself to cut back on things that you're doing before to help you go by. Mm-hmm. But what if individuals are looking for government to make life easier for everyone? Right. Because some folks leave it up to government at times. But what are some of those plans government have to cushion and that effect that the regular citizens are feeling? Right.
And keeping with the spirit of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Lennox Andrews, I think I would just zero in on food prices. Is a major concern. I can speak to at least two initiatives that the government of Grenada has embarked on. One, we have increased the supply, whether it is by the seedlings or actual plants of food. And let me tell you how I'll define that. We have distributed to farmers a number of these seedlings and so on to increase production. That's one. Two, you have the spice pigs, you have the spice sheep, you have the spice goats, etc. that the Ministry of Agriculture is embarking on to be able to expand and increase production again. Farmers have already started getting. We have distributed chicks, right, just after Hurricane Beryl. That again is a direction that we want to go, and we have also started our own national hatchery. Now, the intent of all of this is that if you can expand the supply of food, you can be able naturally to drive the price down. But remember earlier on I said that sometimes when you do X in economics based on the theory and expecting Y, it doesn't always happen so, because there might be some issue in the economy where there's a middle supply who have to provide the feed. And so while you are supplying the birds, the chicks, the feed price is so high still that the poultry farmer still can't make ends meet properly to be able to reduce the cost that the consumer has to pay. And so you always have to factor in all of those things. But this is a real attempt that we have been making. So I could just speak on food prices rather. We are aiming to increase production substantively, and the hope and the goal is that if we are able to increase production, we can have more to consume, which will help drive the prices down, and then start managing the export of the excess supply of this food.
First, I'm going to be due for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. It's the Point Classic Radio GBN TV. We will be right back. Don't touch it out.
All around the world.
culture, creativity, and community. It's the Kamahon Folk and Buy Local Festival happening on Friday, December 5th to Sunday, December 7th at the Sates Bus Terminal in St. Patrick. Friday, December 5th will be the opening night with prayers and worship. Then feel the rhythm ride with theater performances. On Saturday, December 6th, it's Market Day and cultural celebration in Sates. Come celebrate our roots with Asaraka. Sunday, December 7th, it's the grand finale. Folk celebration. We close the festival with pure culture, the rich traditions that makes us who we are. So mark your calendars. Friday, December 5th to Sunday, December 7th. Sates Bus Terminal. Kamahon Folk and Buy Local Festival. This event is brought to you by Ministry of Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture
in partnership with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development.
Of Education and the Division of Culture proudly presents Christmas Harmony 1.0, the inaugural primary school carol singing competition. Join us on Friday, December the 5th at 1 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center. Magical voices, festive spirit, and exciting competition await. Tickets, adults $10, children $5. Christmas Harmony 1.0. No better place to be. Be there.
On October 28, Jamaica was struck by Hurricane Melissa, a catastrophic Category 5 storm that ripped through communities, leaving families homeless, and hope was shaken. But Grenada is standing with our Caribbean brothers and sisters. The Rotary Clubs in Grenada, in partnership with Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Grenada Broadcasting Network, present Project Ascension, Rise Jamaica, a national telethon to support relief and rebuilding efforts on the island. Join us Wednesday, November 26th, 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. for an evening of powerful stories, on-location live reports, stirring performances, and your opportunity to help Jamaica rise again. Project Ascension, Rise Jamaica on GBN Television. One region, one people, one mission to rise.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, our viewers. Those of you on our social media platforms, welcome back. Come back with us also, and thanks for being with us this morning. Redhead, of course, thanks for you taking the time out to sit in this morning. Of course, you're expecting the, of course, Honorable Lennox you to be with us this morning, but you had to take up the mantle, so I have to give you what I had prepared for him.
That's okay.
And of course, you're managing in the next.
That's right, I guess.
We're glad to hear about the amendment of the, the Fisheries Act. Mm-hmm. We heard about that, and it has finally been brought to Parliament. Mm-hmm. That means now Grenada is now taking steps to upgrade the laws and put regulations, of course, in place so that can meet the standards of the U.S. Mammal Protection Act and so forth. Mm-hmm. But an important question remains, sir. Will the amendment be enough to stop, of course, from banning the fish and of course, and fishing products from entering the United States?
But the ministry is actively pursuing all necessary solutions at this point. The legislation was an important part of it, and we have subsequently met that specific requirement. It was a main part of it. The goal, at least as I have said, is that the ministry has the task now to negotiate. We are confident that the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Lands, Fisheries, Blue Economy, not Fisheries, but Blue Economy, is going to be in a position to effectively renegotiate this situation. We remain positive about the potential outcome. I can't say concretely as yet whether or not the ban will be eliminated come January 1st, but what I can say is that the ministry, the government of Grenada, is actively working to resolve the matter, and I assume Honorable Lennox Andrews and his team will have an update subsequently, at least budget 2026, to be able to announce to the nation as to what is taking place. But we have dealt with the major outstanding issue for a long time, which was the legislation. And it speaks to our ability to see these problems and deal with it, right? Kicking the can down the road and trying to ask for extensions and so on just wasn't cutting it. And then ultimately you saw that these things could just be used at any given time just to hold you at ransom in certain instances, and so it's important to always look at these challenges head on and to openly speak about it. We didn't have anything to hide while we didn't cause it, but we have to deal with it. And to all the fisher folks, rest assured that the government is working to ensure that this doesn't become a problem.
Are there any other, of course, actions that Grenada have to take to to fully comply?
Right, there might be one or two. I think the legislation spoke about particular body. So don't quote me on that, but it spoke to it. But we've passed the legislation, and then you know how it is to operationalize some of these laws. You may have to form some kind of body, XYZ after the legislation has passed. So right. I assume so.
All right. So because I still also want to ask you, in terms of the new regulations, is monitoring system. Do we need that?
Right.
More new regulations. We're talking monitoring system, enforcement measures, and so forth. That has to take place before the U.S. actually, that the U.S. tread on that?
Well, I think the legislation is the first step. Of course, putting in the monitoring system is important and may also require some technical assistance because we didn't have it before, and so one has to understand and appreciate that. And I'm certain that the organization NOAA would be able to take all these things into consideration. I don't think it's unreasonable. Remember that everyone has a market in terms of the global situation that we in the Caribbean have to enter in. Where I sit, however, what I would like to see, the fact that we have been able to construct in Carriacou or reconstruct the Windward fish market and the potential for a larger scale organized fishing effort to go beyond just the shores of the U.S. is something that I think could come out of all of this, and we could plan ahead. And what I see is the opportunity not only for Grenada but the region to look at a regional approach to ensuring our fisher folks, because all of us in the Caribbean chain of islands are surrounded by water, and therefore each of us have our fishing sector. The question is, can we continue to isolate ourselves with our own little corner or in our own little corner
and be singled out
to be shipping to the US, and then they strike down Grenada, and Grenada is vulnerable, and then they allow St. Vincent, and St. Vincent is benefiting and so on, and when we are just a few miles away. So I think we need to look at it from a regional standpoint, and having passed the legislation, we need to improve, that's from an OECS CARICOM level, how we do fishing regionally, because I believe we could be able to tap into better and bigger markets as well if we go as a team or a region as opposed to individual islands. I think there is benefit in something like that, and we just continue to work steadfast to improving the situation.
Some folks would say, the fishermen would say, because I had kind of this conversation with an individual who really do fishing for a living.
Yeah.
You understand, is one of the way of life for him. And and one of the indications are that they were saying that this ban could have been avoided,
right?
By would bring that much needed hope for them if the ban is not, and is there any other ways that the government per se is thinking about ways to optimize the industry more? You spoke about that regional approach also. Tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, so it's needed. At Parliament, one of the things that I have been able to conclude is that fisher folk actually are could be very wealthy individuals. It is not far-fetched to say so. Owning a boat is a major asset, right, in an island economy. That's the point. In an island economy, and so the question comes about because look, let's not pretend. Just like the similar challenge or problem with a farmer exists, a farmer is not a vendor. So if I have to farm, then to come and ask me to be a salesman and have good customer service and all these other things and manage the money and so on may be difficult. So I think the challenge we face with fisherfolk is that for them to be able to catch and go out and fish and organize the nets and all these other things, they would still need somebody to help manage the money aspect.
Because some of them have to come back and sell it too, right?
Some of them still have to come back and sell it. I mean, it's like you're doing double work. Imagine you're spending hours out there fishing, having to come in and still sell the catch. And then, somebody might cause you say, all that for tuna.
I understand.
I'm just saying. So it creates that, fisherman could say, boy, let me don't understand the struggle I'm going through. So, even how you position the cost, what you should do. So even before you get to techniques about cleaning and so on, what we need to understand is that we need a better structure and system. If I am fishing and I have the boat, that should be my immediate role. I should not have to be coming back now on shore to try and selling that fish to make $1 and cleaning it and using the knife I had since 2004 to scrape the fish and so on. We can't, in other words, we can't continue fishing like that. But the point is, the fishermen are doing their best.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is to relook, and I share the view about the ban being something that should have been avoided. As I said, this administration didn't cause a problem, but certainly we had to deal with it, and which we did, at least from the legislation standpoint. And the question is now, what are the other things, as you mentioned, that is necessary to be able to ensure that we insulate our fisherfolk from potentially losing the U.S. market, right? But all in all, I think we remain focused and confident that we're going in the right direction. But again, the conversation needs to be had with the fisherfolk. How can we continue to improve the sector with them?
All right. And I'm assuming sooner or later government will be having that conversation with the fisher folks.
Yeah. Well, the Blue Economy recently launched, and I'm confident that they've been doing a good job in terms of understanding the dynamics, understanding how we position policy, because one of the things we need to do, similar to agriculture, is the question or potential of the waning laborers in agriculture. So you don't want a situation where John Smith is the best fisherman in Grenville, but when John Smith passes, who's going to replace him? So what is going to happen to the sector, the uncertainties and so on? So we need to be a bit more predictable in those areas and direct. So when people talk about the investments in agriculture, fishing, etc., it is not just to say give the farmer and the fisher folk money. You need a broader perspective on it to help improve the dexterity, the durability of the sector to make it go and thrive, go forward and thrive.
All right, we'll be due for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, I want us to talk about budget.
Sure.
Yeah, we will spend a little time talking about budget in terms of the total preparation and stuff for December the 1st.
Yeah.
We're coming right back. Stay with us, folks. Don't touch it out. Classic Radio, GBN TV.
This Christmas, GBN is lighting up Grenada. From November the 10th to December the 24th, your festive season starts right here with GBN's Christmas Catalog 2025. Start your mornings with Mid-Morning Magic. Weekdays 10 to 12, live fun, giveaways, and Christmas cheer every day. On Friday, December the 5th, the school's Christmas Challenge lights up the Trade Center. 15 schools, 1 trophy, and the voices filled with holiday joy. Then on Saturday, December the 20th, it's Christmas in Kamahan. Live music, food, shopping, toy giveaway, and the grand tree lighting ceremony. And on Monday, December the 22nd, join GBN's Caroling in the City, spreading Christmas cheer all through St. George's. Every Sunday from 5 to 7, enjoy Yuletide Sundays with classic Christmas tunes and prices galore. And from December the 1st, K105's Lights of Christmas. Guess that hidden cash and win. So Whether you're singing, shopping, or celebrating, do it with GBN. Connecting with you this Christmas. Our partners making it possible. Flow, Ace Hardware, Foodland Supermarket, Grenada Duty Free, Answer Coating, Banfields, and Koyaba Beach Resort. GBN's Christmas Catalog. Connecting you this season.
This holiday season, let the Monica Benoit Wonderland of Lights lead the way to Christmas at the Point. Starting November 30th, the Quarantine Point Recreational Park transforms into a glowing wonderland with dazzling light displays that are the true showstoppers of the season. Take a magical tuk-tuk tunnel ride through twinkling arches. Explore Santa's Grotto, cozy up with a picnic blanket under the stars, and savor delicious eats from local vendors. Entry is just $5 for walk-ins, $10 per carload, and $20 for premium carload parking. Plus, grab a cozy picnic blanket for only $40 and enjoy the season in style. Special pricing applies for New Year's Eve. Visit our Instagram or Facebook pages at Rotary Club of Grenada Events for more details. It's holiday fun for the entire family every night from 5 p.m. till midnight, and it all supports the charitable work of the Rotary Club of Grenada. Christmas at the Point. When the sun sets, the wonder begins. Mark your calendars. It all begins November 30th.
Grenada Get Ready. GBN, the Ministry of Education, and the Division of Culture proudly presents Christmas Harmony 1.0, the inaugural primary school carol singing competition. Join us on Friday, December the 5th at 1 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center. Magical voices, festive spirit, and exciting competition await. Tickets, adults $10, children $5. Christmas Harmony 1.0. No better place to be. Be there.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. We look at moving up to approximately 15 minutes before the top. Everyone, let's welcome back once again. I want to focus a wee bit. We're looking at December 1st. Yes. Budget will be presented. Mm-hmm. Tell me, in terms of preparations, the level of consultation that have taken place. I know there's been a lot.
Yes.
The readiness?
Yeah. Well, government is ready. I think Parliament is ready. Notwithstanding, I think we just have seen one issue with the AC. Parliament is working overtime to see how they could resolve it. In fact, that is the largest fan I ever seen live. That was at Parliament the other day. So they're trying their best to be able to cope with the situation, and it's something that they are working on. But outside of that, everything is ready. I would confess, however, this is the first time in a long time I haven't just prepared my budget presentation at least 2-3 months in advance. Okay. So I have been busy both with school and also the government and political work. But all in all, budget is a go. We are looking and working towards December 1st. As I mentioned, I don't have the theme with me to be able to share with the public, but in the coming days, naturally, it will be made available. The Honorable Minister of Finance, the Honorable Dennis Cornwall, will be presenting Budget 2026. We would then have the debates on the 3rd to the 4th, that is for the lower house, and then I stand to be corrected, but somewhere around the 7th of December, the Senate should meet. Right. So all in all, we should be wrapped up by at least the first 3 weeks in December to be able to go into Christmas. We have already started the preparations for hampers distribution, for example, toys. The children, we can't leave them out in whatever Christmas season it is, and we'll always have to provide some level of joy and cheer when the season comes around. So we would be doing that. There is also the discussion about what we need to do with the budget 2026, meaning that we've had all these consultations. Where are we with that? The Ministry of Finance has been able to collate and put all of this together. As you know, we have launched, well, not we, but the Ministry of Finance have launched the the bond initiative in terms of purchasing. As mentioned, I did say that the Ministry of Finance should give an update. I think they did appear on the program, but I can't recall the conversation. That was Mr. Pierre.
Yes, I think he was here, but I actually wasn't the one. I was on vacation that time when he came in. So because I also wanted to ask you, what can we look forward to in the 2026 budget? What can we really look forward to as a nation to look forward to?
Right.
New taxes, folks may ask these questions.
Right. No. I wouldn't want to preempt, but I would say no off the bat. There's no new tax on the population. No. Right. But the Ministry of Finance and Minister of Finance is going to give the overall picture as to what is to come and how we are going to roll that out. You heard Prime Minister speaking to some. As mentioned in the rally last Sunday, we are going to be doing what is called the youth economy. And this is something probably we could talk to. It's critical because one of the challenges that we have observed in the 3 years coming into office is that there were these government programs just all over the place. And in some instances, Ministry X will have a program for youth, Ministry Y would have another program for youth, right? Or it is said for youth. But when you look at how it is organized, the young system, the environment around a young person they're not really benefiting from that. And it's more of, if you have a link here, you could get through and that kind of thing. So one of the things we want to do is to improve that. When we talk about a Grenadian young person, their focus at age 18 should be able to say that I have obtained all the enablers to make my life functional. So your driver's license. There should be an immediate focus on that and the avenue and opportunity and environment to be able to get that with ease. I'm not saying that we just want to put a set of young people on the road to drive reckless, but the point is, this is an enabler to take them. In some workplaces, having a driver's license is a must. And I'm saying if I am starting at age 18 and then I have to work my way up, it's better I have the license. I may not have a car because I'm just starting to work at age 18, but it's better I have the license, could improve as I go along, and I could take things from there. Similarly, with a bank account, at age 18, there should be no young person without a bank account. Right? And we say this honestly because when we talk about advancing and developing the people, it is not only to say that if you was receiving $200, you should get $500 now, and all things is good. Just like the Ministry of Social Development, for example, is piloting the card system for seed payments, which is easier, helps to improve the accountability. We want to transition some of the elderly people who never had bank accounts into where they should be. As you could see, when we had COVID-19, for them to get access to some help, they could not be able to get it because in some instances they had to transfer cash actually, and then all of that was limited, social distancing, all these other things. So it could put some groups at disadvantages. We think if you start at an early age, that will cease to be a problem in the future. And so we want to look at the ecosystem to do one of three things. One, to empower young people to earn. Secondly, to empower them to lead. And thirdly, most importantly, to empower them to participate in the Grenadian economy. And so we see this as critical. So we're going to have an agency. The Minister of Youth, the Prime Minister will speak to it in budget. But we're going to have an agency that could be able to group all of these things, make it a one-stop shop for the young person, and you could be able to improve your situation coming out from that whole experience. So we're not sending you to this one and project that and program this and all over the place. It's well organized and you know what to expect, you know the outcome.
The 2026 budget will be a budget of importance,
right.
I'm assuming, of serious importance. Speak to me about something of the importance of this particular budget in comparison to other years. I'm sensing something about it that is going to be very important for government.
Well,
in particular.
I don't.
I mean, thinking about the state of the world today.
Right.
I'm speaking in reference to that. We speak about the economies of the world, inflation that we're experiencing, and so forth. This particular budget should speak a lot in reference to that.
Yeah. So, for example, I could just single out the health sector, for example. We expect to turn on and break ground for the new teaching hospital in 2026. This budget is going to capture that. But it is not also capturing that. But in addition to the general hospital statutorization plan and situation, this budget is going to facilitate or be able to fund all the activities related to that. Also, in this upcoming budget, we are going to see a very great improvement with how the local medical stations are going to be able to function, and we are going to fund some resources there to upgrade a lot of them. So when we talk about healthcare, for example, and looking at the global picture, because when we talk cost of living, the cost of accessing healthcare is also contributing to the general cost of living, because if a man can't get well, he can't contribute and he is unable to be productive. And so when we look at it, yes, the electricity price is a concern too and contributes to cost of living, but these other elements, bus price, all these other things contribute. And so we are talking about piloting a school bus program. We started, and we hope that for 2026, all things being equal, this could be implemented in full. And so this is going to help reduce the cost for parents overall, and in terms of providing a predictable means of getting to school early. Because one of the things I think we need to discuss, I don't mean to segue per se from the budget, is that how can we as a society, with all this increase in transportation, still maintain our punctuality and productivity? Should we allow school times or school hours to be 8 o'clock and work hours to be 9 o'clock? Which will allow for families to be able to drop their children to school, etc., etc. Have enough time.
Give enough leeway between
So should that be a national conversation that we should be having? Because what we are talking or discussing is how can we get the society working and maintaining its productivity, given that we may not want to put a ban on the import of vehicles per se, although there is one existing in terms of the year of a vehicle, but you don't necessarily want to get in that. We are currently encouraging the transition from the combustible to the EVs.
Yes.
And so you will see an increase in the amount of vehicles on island naturally, because the cost is cheaper for an EV. You can bring it in and you're getting 100% concession on them. So what are the things that we need to do now to help compensate for that? So this is the kind of discussion we expect Budget 2026 to inspire. And when we start to implement, the full rollout, or the commencement rather, of transformation will be taking place then. And it's just natural, because for the last 3 years we have been observing, doing some of the pilots, refining, enhancing, and trying to make the system into what we think it should be to be able to take us forward.
All right. My final question before we start taking some calls. I mean, you spoke about young people being focus on young people a lot in the budget to come. You spoke about healthcare. What are the key sector we will see, of course, a lot of attention we given within the 2026 budget?
Yeah. So I'll just briefly mention housing, but I'm not in a position to give all the details. Yeah. Project 500, the pilot is completed with the 17 homes. The expectation is that we'll be able to roll this out. Again, with all things being equal, the phases or stages where you have government providing the land, that's one aspect, and will build, and then you have your own private property that this program, you can fall under it. With that, you'll be able to get a suite of I would say commodities, so to speak, with housing that you wouldn't ordinarily get outside. So it will be able to be constructed cheaper. The question of the package or deal for the home insurance, because that is critical when we have hurricanes. If the government is building a house now and has to go and rebuild it 6 months from now, if a hurricane destroys it, it in a sense is becoming kind of mundane. It's like you're wasting taxpayers' money in a sense, right? Not with the intent, but because because of what is happening. So having the homeowners to now pursue private home insurance is something that we are encouraging, because it will help them. And it will also ease the burden on the taxpayers whenever a natural disaster strikes. So we should see some things there. Again, agriculture, as mentioned, we have some exciting things to roll out there. Again, I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, so I will leave it ultimately up to each and every one of them as ministers to be able to present in the coming days.
So true. Within this segment, we have approximately about 8 minutes or so left on the program. We're going to, of course, allow our listeners and viewers the opportunity to ask a question or two. Let's go to the phone line on our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, GT. GT, how you do?
Doing great. Great. Let's hear you, please. And be brief, please.
Honorable Ron Redhead, good morning. The little hint that you are giving about, I have 2 points, quick. It's good on the budget, but I haven't heard much about the senior citizen nursing homes and so on. Sorry, but that's my profession, that's my passion. Haven't heard anything much or anything at all regarding that. 1. 2. I must congratulate this administration for education, but I don't have time to go into it. I want to say, please, that this administration have good ideas. The Prime Minister mean excellent, but some of the people are not holding the end. Mr. Minister, such as Ministry of Labor is doomed. The agriculture and the people that you speaking about there, the other side of it is not working. The Labor Department, almost all the different ministries, the PSs and them, they're not holding up the end to support the Prime Minister and his plan. Thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
What I say is thanks, caller, for the observation. And as mentioned earlier on, I may not be able to speak to everything. Ministry of Social Development and the Minister of Social Development, Senator Gloria Thomas, would be able to speak to the plans for the elderly, etc., and she will do so for budget debates. But what I would say is we have always said we need room for improvement, so we accept the...
All right. We have another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, good morning. So how are you going?
Doing great. Let's hear from you, please. Be brief, please.
Okay, then. Well, point number 1, I have heard a lot about the young people and the ability to assist the young people to develop. I want Mr. Ron Redhead and the government, which I support, to take knowledge of this. The aged people and the seed program need a little increasing, and I'm going to tell you why. In every rural community in Grenada, it is not the rich people that goes in places like Mount Horn, Lafayette, in the Baca River Valley, and help build the economy. It is the same poor people who just get that $500 who will go to those particular shops in Shantimel and spend their money there that help build the rural economy. This is an area that the government must look into. A group of senior citizens do even going in jail regular. You don't see they get in trouble. These people help build a rural economy, and sometimes we only concentrate a lot upon the younger folks who do this, and the younger folks say that they have to pay forward in that. They get in free education, they get in free everything. You develop in all aspects of the government, the cess for them. Some of them still doing bad and go in jail. But I just think that the senior citizens should get maybe a card to go to the hospital, that they wouldn't have to pay for certain operations and increase the cess. My second point, which I think I want to make it fast, the government collection of the VAT is important, and to me the government is not collecting the VAT as they ought to collect the VAT. So here's what's happening. I went to a program with the month of the money business, and the VAT collection officer was actually telling us in the meeting that one time they were monitoring some people that they collecting the VAT and they're not paying the government for it, because they themselves went and buy things and know that that particular supermarket or retailer is not bringing the VAT to the government. We have never heard any prosecution of such persons and a lot of people that have the cost of living to go up. You will see that you go in a shop, they're already making a profit on their goods. They charge VAT on the goods that is supposed to go to the government and not giving the government that. I think that the VAT collection should be developed in such a way that more money could come in the coffers of the government to help people. And secondly, we may have to go back to price control, because at everything in Grenada just going up, and everybody just saying that the price going up and nobody watching and see what going on. Sometimes the goods that are sold.
I know you do have a lot to say, but we are limited on time. I of course,
okay,
thank you
very much. I will cut there.
Thank you so much. And you want to respond to the call?
Well, just quickly, just to say that, it's a good observation. Again, we are mindful of it, and we have to continue working towards reducing the cost of living in Grenada.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Jay. Good morning.
Good morning. And I beg of you to be brief, please, for time purposes.
Good morning, Ron. How you doing? Ron, most of us have a third world mentality, right? 2 weeks brain span to think about certain things. But I try my best to go further than 2 weeks. Now, we have to give American answer about the radar, for the request, I should say, not the radar, the request. Up to now, we haven't heard nothing. From our Prime Minister, we have a big rally in St. Andrews, not even a thought about that. Maduro is labeled as a terrorist. America might kill Maduro before the month ends. And we don't have an answer from the government as yet. What for the answer? It is yes. They tell us is yes. If no, tell us is no. You can't just keep us in the wind like that. I believe that we know it's absent. Yes, it's present. We know it's absent. Yes, it's present. My second point is that with the project 500, you take Grenadian style houses. You don't understand though. A Grenadian style house is not a house that cannot give ventilation. You have to be able to get ventilation from the natural wind. And this house I see them by building. Somebody live in that house, they won't be able to get the breeze. You might have to put constant AC in that house and cost them more money in the long run. I'm just saying that they don't understand our houses in Grenada here is built to get proper ventilation. We have big windows, we have windows on full sides of the house, we have make sure we can get wind day and night, we can live properly. So we have no ventilation. So how do people live in this house? How do you live in that house? Because AC the whole night. So I mean, we say Grenadian style houses. They don't understand, not the design, the concept of how we build houses in this country here. For ventilation day and night. So we live in a hot climate. This house have small little windows. How do you live in that?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so, caller, as relates to Project 500, I am not certain which models that you're speaking to, but I have seen almost all the 17 models, and each of them have extremely large windows to take in natural light and wind. One of them even have the louvers, traditional louvers that we are accustomed to. But as it relates to the first point that you made in relation to the, you spoke to something about the, I didn't recall the first point, but
I kind of missed on it also.
All right.
Let's take another caller. Caller, you're live via WhatsApp. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, GT. Good morning.
Good morning to you. I beg of you to be brief, please.
A quick question, Ron. Okay, you had mentioned about the problem with the fisheries and towards the ban. St. Vincent been to a ban, similar ban like what been put on Grenada. I want to know, are the government working with the Ministry of Fisheries in St. Vincent to help curb that? Because when I read some of the things that they was asking about, especially like the whale minding, they're asking about how the fish been caught and how it been stored. So I want to know if you guys working with the members from St. Vincent. My second question, I concerning the van. Yesterday, I know Mr. Diali was there, and the question was asked concerning the van. And then he said, you don't think that was the appropriate time right now? It seems that people have been going through the high cost of living. Basically, when I look at the OECS country, it's the same cost of living of goods. So I don't know what you take on it. And my last question to you quick, we see the launching of the movement, all right? And then in a rally, Dr. Mitchell said that a vote for the movement is a vote for NDC. And I see like we had a great rally over the weekend, so I want to know what is your take.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Right. So as Julius Fishman, yes, this is why I spoke to a regional effort that is required to be able to ensure that the region, because Grenada may not have all the expertise, and even if we pass the legislation, there might still be some things and expertise that we may be lacking now. In addition to that, you spoke to vehicles. Just to say that this is an initiative from the Parliament through the taxpayers is able to afford this. This is to help improve the, I would still say, the effectiveness and the impact of Member of Parliament. We have hurricane season coming up. We have maybe potentially a fire season. We have to joke stuff. We have to do things. This is something to be able to help get us moving in the direction of local government ultimately, and it's a way to empower your Member of Parliament. And then thirdly, you spoke to the issue of
things have been related to the Dr. Mitchell and of course mention and vote for
some of the movement.
Yeah.
Well, I can't speak to any other political party unfortunately at this point. We remain committed to encouraging democracy as far as it could go, but as the National Democratic Congress's PRO, I wouldn't be able to speak to another political party.
And we will take our final caller via WhatsApp this morning. Caller, you're live. Good morning, and I beg of you to be brief, please.
Yes, good morning, GT, and good morning, Ron. Definitely, I do in fact want to make a point, not maybe ask a question, but as it regards to the negotiation with the ongoing radar to be placed on Morris Bishop International Airport, I do want to make the point that it's a negotiation, and persons do not come to the fray and expose what their negotiation tactics are. They do not come to the fray and do say how I'm going to negotiate a particular issue. So if persons can decide, well, let me be patient until the negotiation has already expired or what was negotiated has been done, so that you can actually get information and respect it. But if the government was supposed to come to the fray and say everything that I'm going to negotiate, then obviously who they're negotiating with would automatically know what they're negotiating and would have counter arguments for it. So let the government do what it's supposed to do, and so that the right things can be done, so that the best can be we can receive the best outcome out of it if we are negotiating at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Great point there.
Well said, caller.
Great point there. Well said. Of course, everyone, we get to that stage of the moment, we're going to have to take a wrap for today. I certainly want to thank you for popping in. I know it was last minute that you have to, of course, come in this morning. Of course, until we do this again,
yes,
all the best. I'm not sure we're going to be popping before the end of 2025.
All right.
But if we do, I say all the compliments for this evening in advance.
Thank you, and same to you and to your listeners, viewers, all Grenadians, to my constituents. Merry Christmas and all the best for the rest of the year.
All right. Hey, folks, that's we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Thanks to everyone once again who listened, who viewed us via, of course, our social media platforms and so forth. Thank you so much. Join us again for an edition. That's what we say goodbye. Have a good one, folks.